The West Asia war continues to intensify the attack on oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, and that has sent oil prices soaring across the globe, keeping the region on an edge. In the U.S. and Israeli campaign across the region, several targets have been struck, but one island, Kharg, remains off limits. Experts say that bombing or capturing the site with U.S. forces would likely cause a sustained increase to already surging oil prices, as it would amount to taking the entirety of Iran's daily crude exports offline. Let's get to the context. Geographically, Kharg Island is a small coral outcrop about 55 kilometers northwest of Bushehr, which is Iran's main southern port. It handles nearly 90% of Iran's oil exports and can load millions of barrels daily, surrounded by deep waters. It offers access for the world's largest oil tankers. Now, this is a rare advantage in a region where much of the coastline is too shallow for supercrude carriers. Despite over 5,000 American strikes in and around Iran, Kharg's oil infrastructure remains intact. It's a deliberate decision to avoid disrupting global markets and provoking a severe retaliation. A petrochemical facility was jointly developed here in 1969 by the National Iranian Oil Company and US-based American Oil Company. This island was linked by pipelines to both offshore oil fields as well as mainland oil fields in Khuzestan. And by early 1970s, this infrastructure transformed Kharg into Iran's largest oil loading terminal. At present, it has a capacity of loading up to 7 billion barrels of oil every day. It also handles nearly 90% of Iran's oil exports. During the Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s, it was bombed by Saddam Hussein's forces on multiple occasions. According to JP Morgan, around 1.3 million to 1.6 million barrels of oil a day passes through Kharg. Last month, before the war broke out, Iran increased volumes to 3 million barrels a day. Now, the shore-up was done, remember, in anticipation of a US-led attack. A further 18 million barrels are stored on Kharg as a backup. Iran's Speaker of the Parliament, Gravitas, has issued a stern warning. In fact, taking to X, he said, and I quote him, "Any aggression against the soil of Iranian islands will shatter all restraint and make the Persian Gulf run with the blood of invaders," unquote. Before the latest US-Israel offensive, most of Iran's crude oil from Kharg was exported to China. But the interconnected nature of the market means a permanent loss in export supply would further affect global prices. And not to ignore the timing, when a further 3.5 million barrels a day are also offline because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. More than 45 years ago, the then US President Jimmy Carter had also considered attacking this very island. This was to retaliate against Iran holding American hostages. Reports say that initially US military officials thought that it would be very easy to seize this island, but later they found that Iran had stationed about 250 soldiers on this island and another 250 air defense personnel and up to another 500 military personnel involved in a hovercraft program. They then thought about an airstrike. However, Jimmy Carter was not sure that France, UK, Japan and others could handle the impact of the oil supplies. The US attack plan went no further. In short, Kharg is Iran's most sensitive energy hub, and so far it has remained untouchable in this war, a strategic artery that the US and its allies have so far decided to leave alone.